Captain Nemo is the 11th episode of the first season of Everybody Loves Raymond. This is directed by Michael Lembeck, and as always, there will be spoilers as I talk about various aspects of the narrative. And it's not one of my favourite episodes. There's absolutely nothing wrong with it. I just don't care about basketball, so the scenes involving basketball I couldn't really connect with. But there's absolutely nothing wrong with those scenes. I just wanted to point that out, that it's not a personal favourite, but it's not actually about basketball. It's about priorities and family, and also not letting power go to your head. As I said, there will be spoilers from now as I go through things pretty much chronologically. And it starts off with Raymond getting ready to play basketball. He and Robert are really excited, and he's kind of thinking Debra's wanting him to stay at home because of the way Debra spoke, but I think to the viewer it's pretty clear that that's not what Debra was suggesting, and I imagine there's an element of relatability there. And he is actually playing on Nemo's team in what they keep referring to as the Pizza League, but then something happens later on that makes me question that, and I'll talk about that when I get there. And Robert ends up being captain. Raymond kind of wanted to be captain, but he let it slide, and Robert got the opportunity, and then Raymond doesn't get to play in the second half. And Robert says this is because he doesn't want to be accused of nepotism. And Raymond is pouring his heart out to Debra about this. And then Frank comes in the room. This is when they're back at home, of course. And there's this really sweet moment where Robert and Raymond are at either side of Frank. And Frank is so proud of his two boys. And it's a really, really sweet moment. However, it doesn't remain sweet for long, because at their next game, everybody is not happy with Robert. And Robert has kind of let the power of being captain go to his head, which I think is quite interesting, because it would seem like that's a personality trait where he lets power go to his head. But we don't necessarily see that with him being a police officer. Yes, we see him being proud of being a police officer and taking his role seriously, but it's not like he mentions that in every conversation, or he constantly refers to himself as an officer. And I think it's really interesting that maybe he doesn't feel like he gets the recognition he deserves as a police officer. So when he's being praised as a captain of this basketball team, maybe that's him getting the praise that he really wants. But unfortunately, he lets it go to his head, and everybody's really annoyed at him. So they decide to make Raymond captain. And it's kind of bittersweet, because this is what Raymond wanted, but A, his brother is unhappy, and B, it means he's going to have to miss out on a lot of things. And we learn that he's going to miss out on the birthday party at Happy Zone, and he did miss out on a lot of great opportunities, including chocolate fudge cake. And he's kind of starting to wonder a little bit if it's worth it. And at no point does Debra ever say, you need to decide to be with your family. But she does kind of make him realise that if he chooses basketball, he's going to miss out on some stuff. She does point out that she had to give up some stuff when they got married and had kids. And again, she's not saying outright that Raymond needs to choose, but she is making it clear that it's his decision and something that he really needs to think about. And I like that. I like the fact that she wasn't just saying outright, you need to choose us, because if you tell somebody what to do and make it seem like it's not their decision, they're going to push back. They are, 9 times out of 10, I'd say, they're going to feel bitter about having been forced to choose something. Whereas if the decision is theirs, then it's a much happier situation. And I'll come back to what Raymond decides when we get to the end. We also get the scene here where Robert is at home eating Chinese takeout. And this is the bit that confused me. I thought maybe I just misheard. Previously, when they're playing basketball, they mentioned that they were playing against this Chinese takeout, and I just thought, okay, I've misheard that because it's the Pizza League. But then Robert confirmed that they were the opposition when he was eating the opposition's food, and I just got a little bit confused as to why they call it the Pizza League when the opposition isn't a pizzeria. So I'm probably overthinking it, I realise that, but just as something that threw me a little bit, Chinese takeouts tend to not sell pizza. And we get a scene soon after that, which is really chaotic, where Raymond's team come over to the house and they're causing a lot of problems in the kitchen. It's a very strange scene, but it works quite well. And then we get the final scene that I think is one of the sweetest things ever. And Raymond's getting ready to go out and play basketball, and Debra's fixing breakfast for the kids, and she's spreading the syrup for Ali, and Raymond just kind of looks back and realizes that spending time with his family is significantly more important than playing basketball with his friends. And I think it's not so much that he's not allowed to play basketball, but the fact that he realizes that if he's captain and takes on such a prominent role, he can't have his cake and eat it too. He has to choose one of them. Does he want to be with his family and go down to the happy zone and eat chocolate fudge cake? Or does he want to play basketball and possibly win the league? And while it's a difficult decision to make, I think the moment where Ray made the right decision was really sweet. And I think the way this all came about, as I said, Ray not being told what decision to make, but being allowed to make the decision on his own, was the best way to get the best results. And I think the episode does a great job of highlighting all of this. I can't really fault the episode. As I said, in terms of personal preference, it might not be one of my favourites, but it has some sweet messages. I think we get a lot of different perspectives with Debra and Robert, and also Marie. I didn't mention that, but when Marie came storming into Raymond and Debra's house and having a go at Raymond for what he did to Robert, it's a beautiful performance from Doris Roberts. It's a really enjoyable episode. Not a personal favourite, but I can't fault it. Captain Nemo is pretty great.